Welcome to Happy Times and Places, a Doctor Who podcast commentary with a difference. It has to be positive. I, Toby Hadoke, have asked a friend to nominate a story and to choose their favourite things about it. I have to see if I can guess what those favourite things are.
Hello Toby, my name's Alex Moore and I work in locations for both TV and film. You can find me on Twitter at AlexMoore99. The story that I have chosen is The Time Monster.
Marmalade Fandango. For those of you that aren't keeping up, that is purely better than saying okay then, which seems to be my go-to very dull phrase to introduce this bit, which is to say, if you're watching along to The Time Monster episode 5, press play now. Well, welcome. This is going to be an interesting one because I remember when I did Running Through Corridors, which is a book I did with Rob Shearman, where we had to watch Doctor Who in order, and as we did so, try to just be positive. Rob wrote one line about episode 5 of The Time Monster. It was the only episode that defeated him, which left the field open for me a little bit, and I think I did slightly better than him, but I think it goes to show it's not perhaps. It'd be interesting. I'm going to try and give it a chance. That's why we are here. That's why this exercise is, I hope, slightly more interesting than perusing an internet forum. Well, I don't know. Who knows? But I hope so. And thanks for joining me. It's after midnight, so I'm not eating. So there's no crisps available. I have, though, because the whole point of this is to watch it, chat along, throw it out there. But of course, I then fixate on all of the things I talk about. It's this day and age, isn't it? Where you go, what if that could be misconstrued, or what if I come across as an idiot like that? Hello, Toby. You come across as an idiot in all the things you say. Thank you, conscience. Thank you, internet. But I decided that because I hadn't thought about the cast of The Time Monster, many of whom we've not been able to find, I was thinking, when the DVD came out relatively recently, about 11 years, I thought I'd have a little sniff. And there's a cabal of Doctor Who fans who there's 3 or 4 of us who've all sort of found actors here, there and everywhere. So I sometimes will send a text to Ben Jolly and Lee Allen or Stephen Griffiths and go, have you, by the way, ever made contact with so-and-so? And they'll do the same to me. And so I texted Stephen about Wanda Moore, and he dropped he said, well, maybe this, through that. So I found her. Anyway, I found her. Stephen had sort of, as I say, had pointed me in the right direction. So I did a bit of digging because, it was bedtime and I should have gone to bed and I've got work to do. So I did that instead. And anyway, I've written to her. So that'll be interesting to see what happens. Quite often when you write to people, you hear nothing back. So don't get your hopes up. But anyway, she's not even in this episode. And Simon Legree, Stephen was telling me, he's never found, and he's very good, Stephen. And Simon Legree was only in Spotlight for 1 year. And we know nothing else about him. Simon Legree is, of course, one of the main characters in Uncle Tom's Cabin. So, that's a pretty odd pseudonym to choose, isn't it? If it was a pseudonym. And if it's his real name, it means he's quite hard to find because Uncle Tom's Cabin keeps coming up. Anyway, I've still not said anything about episode 5 of The Time Monster. This set is nice and spacious. And it's nice to be somewhere else. So, we're stuck in the laboratory set. Now, the man banging his staff is Derek Murcott as Lord Crito, and he's also always a character that whenever I watch this, I go, I'd forgotten about Lord Crito. I don't actually know what he does. I know he's a bit mean to Susan Penhaligon at one point, but he's one of those characters that I sort of just draw a blank with. I don't know much about Derek Murcott either, other than the fact that he went to America and he's now died. Susan Penhaligon as the handmaiden Larkis in the background, one of our finest actresses from Bouquet of Barbed Wire. Late replacement for Anne Michelle, sister of Vicky Michelle from Hello Hello, because Anne Michelle kept being late for rehearsals and was fired. Susan Penhaligon was an old mate of Katie Manning's, and Katie Manning said, "Why don't you cast my mate?" Which is a perfectly reasonable thing to do. So we were meeting lots of new actors here. Aidan Murphy's back. He's very falsetto. He has a flute in delivery. He would be very good to play flute in Midsummer Night's Dream. Bless him. Well, I mean, he's having a bash, isn't he? And the guy next to him with the beard, Michael Walker, you may recognise as he was in The Claws of Axos without a beard as one of the 2 radar operators in the first 2 episodes, and was sort of acting career on and off for a couple of decades, but beginning longer than that, because he started as a boy actor and was in this guy here with the beard, Michael Walker. He was in the very first production of Waiting for Godot as the boy, because he was a juvenile actor, but that's theatrical history, being in the first ever production of Waiting for Godot. So he started off as a boy actor, doesn't act anymore. I've never had contact with him, Stephen has though. I do like George Cormack as Dalios. I like this set. I mean, it is a sort of mannered costume drama, isn't it? Now, I quite like a mannered costume drama, but I think I think berobed costume dramas are perhaps berobed and bare-chested are not perhaps my costume drama of choice. Oh, I like I, Claudius. This is no I, Claudius. I think because it requires a certain sort of type of Shakespearean acting, and Shakespeare, which I love, when done well. Oh, there's a lovely cat. And Ingrid Pitt. Shakespeare, when done well, is the best thing ever. Shakespeare, when done badly, is the worst thing ever. Although I am quite entertained by bad Shakespearean acting, and then isn't that Doctor Who? Because I've got to remember I'm being positive, and not because I'm taking a mickey. I've got to be positive because Doctor Who is great. It's the best programme ever made, even when it's not good. I haven't decided if this isn't good. That's brilliant. You see, a computer bank with the Master in it landing in Atlantis, and I love King Dalios's response, because we're quite used to sort of people from the past being a bit in awe of the future and a bit we patronise the past a bit, I think, sometimes. God, we certainly do in this day and age, at our and to our great discredit. Yes, I think our cultural commentary today is treats the past with a disdain it sometimes doesn't deserve. I really like King Dalios's sort of blasé response to the Master appearing. It's kind of like, yeah, okay. Which is better than the sort of, falling to the knees and going, oh, a mighty cupboard has landed in our midst. It must be the gods, or whatever. And he's quite sexy, the Master, isn't he? I mean, I'm not... I love a bit of Ingrid Pitt. Oh, she's taken a fancy to the Master. Sorry, Hippias, don't look doe-eyed. I've learnt that to my cost-mate. Don't look all sad. They don't like it. 20 years I spent looking sadly at women who weren't interested. or if they were interested, then I looked sad to keep their attention, and they went off me. Don't look sad. Don't look sad at the ladies. They don't like it. But I think the Master is quite sexy, isn't he? Oh, bless him. He's not good, is he? I mean, it takes a certain chutzpah to act in a nappy. But I think we all dream of, stardust when we enter the profession, yelling in falsetto in a nappy, with eyeshadow and a wig on. It's, probably not what you imagined when you went to drama school, or, lay in bed going, oh, one day I shall be spurned by Ingrid Pitt. So yeah, I hope you're enjoying this. I haven't released any of these yet, so this is very early days. Nobody might watch them. But it's been interesting, the stories that people have chosen as well. I quite like that. Not everyone's gone for the favourites or the obvious ones. Oh, that's why I got confused about Dr. Percival, because it's been so long since he tries to hypnotise Dr. Percival, and it's easy, but it's the same story where he tries to hypnotise King Dalios and fails. So at least my brain wasn't, because I was wondering why I'd thought he struggled with Dr. Percival. I'd got the same story, a different old man. But of course 10 years ago I wouldn't have made that mistake. Age brings King Dalios wisdom, just brings me increasing entropy and disappointment. I love Delgado's sort of respectful amusement at King Dalios being a match for him. I think that's great. But I'm just checking my sound. I might move the microphone a little closer. Hello, Mr. Microphone. Yeah, we'll survive. And when we did the commentary for this, I still haven't told you my full commentary story. I was a bit terrified of the idea of Ingrid Pitt, because she played terrifying women. And I remember seeing her, that's right, I remember seeing her. She was on an interview programme with a magician called David Burglass, who is still about, I think, who was on telly quite a bit in the 80s. And she was interviewed, and she talked about the fact that she'd been in Doctor Who, but then she also went, and I have also written Doctor Who and the Macros. And I was going, what? And there was no video in those days. But she didn't write the Macra Terror unless Ian Stuart Black was a pseudonym. And there's no way of checking all of this stuff. It's only many years later that it was she wrote a story that had been commissioned for the season that never got made, or it got abandoned and it never happened. But whenever she recorded that interview with David Burglass, it was either still a going concern or she just didn't want to say it wasn't happening, or they didn't know, or whatever. But yeah, she was certainly talking about she'd written a story. And there was no sense that it hadn't yet been made. But there was also, as I say, it also did sound like it could have already been on, but I thought I knew all the Doctor Who stories. But again, in those days, you only really had your memory to go on. So that's why in those days I remembered things much better than I do now. It's terrible, isn't it? Because we could just look stuff up now. I really like what George Cormack's doing, and I like the way that he's written. He has a sort of amused, detached wisdom about him, which I really like. As I say, very different from the, credulous ancients that we're sometimes used to in these. The sort of what poor old Donald Eccles is saddled with. So, yeah, Ingrid Pitt had talked about Doctor. So anyway, I was a bit terrified of the idea of Ingrid Pitt coming. Then Steve rang and said, she's not going to be able to, because I don't think she was confirmed anyway. But it's she was. He'd said, first of all, I didn't think she was going. Then she could come, but then she couldn't come because she had to go into hospital to get her hip done or something. And of course, Ingrid Pitt for me is the sort of vampish, siren. This alluring Mediterranean. Or no, she's not Mediterranean. But this alluring. Countess Dracula, you know. Getting her hip done, mate. That made me feel old. Of course, I feel older now. And yeah, so we didn't get Ingrid Pitt. Well, there still wasn't any money because I still didn't get any. So I don't know what happened to Ingrid Pitt's money. Didn't go to Hadoke Towers. But it was, and I realised because I was trying to work out earlier what happened with John Levine did episodes 2 and 4, didn't he? And we had the writers commentary that I talked about. When I said it was better than nothing, it wasn't better than nothing. They were going to do a fan commentary, but I'd already done one of those on Monster of Peladon, and I got a sniff that people didn't really like those. So I said, why not do a fan commentary that's professional writers? So that's why there's a writer's commentary on the Time Monster. See, I remember everything a couple of episodes later. I also remembered that the farm worker, George Lee, Corporal Forbes from Spearhead from Space, was originally cast as Kenneth Watson, who's Bill Duggan in The Wheel in Space, Billy Bug, and he's also Craddock in the movie of Dalek's Invasion Earth 2150 AD. So I don't know why he didn't end up playing the farm worker. You can cut the sexual tension in these scenes with a knife.
I am Dalek, queen of Atlantis, daughter of kings and wife of Dalek. So have a care.
Yeah, that's
Your pardon? I took you for another.
oh,
I knew Dalek once you see. The woman not the queen.
I do feel sorry for Hippias. His mouth is very, very downcast, isn't he? He does a lot of that when he's acting. Is that potentially the worst acted scene in the whole of Doctor Who? But they're neither great, are they? Anyway, never mind. I'm supposed to be accentuating the positive. Susan Penhaligon's fine actress, very good. I feel bad now for saying this. The whole point of this is to accentuate the positive. Sorry everybody. Oh no, I like a blur from one scene to the other. That's a very Paul Bernard sort of thing. And the commentary for this is very sad because Barry Letts arrived and was sent the wrong way. So by the time he got to us, he'd already had a long walk round the arse end of Television Centre, and we were very surprised that he wasn't the Barry Letts we knew and loved. He was very poorly and very frail, and also then quite annoyed, and struggled. And we never do retakes and commentaries; they go all the way through and warts and all. But he was quite stumbly with his words, and I remember he had to do the end of episode 1 about 3 times. He was getting increasingly frustrated with himself, and that was a really sad thing. Was it was such a professional, and that was a great entrance for the Master. I like that shot. I'd forgotten about the cat. Do your own joke about Ingrid Pitt's pussy right now, please, because I'm above that sort of thing. Yeah, Baronet's was very, very frail, and actually he said at the end, it was a terrible thing he said at the end, oh, these are normally good, and I didn't enjoy that one at all. And I thought very gallantly said, oh yeah, I'm sorry about that. That was my fault. I wasn't really on top of this one. I'm sorry about that. And and that's the problem when you're being gallant, isn't it? You sort of expect the other person to go, no, absolutely not. It's fine. And of course, he sort of accepted that. So job done. I hope I made him feel better. But it meant that. But as I say, sometimes, usually when you say those things, you expect the other person to let you off the hook. He didn't let me off the hook. But he was very frail, and he was really struggling. And his son Crispin was with him, and took him away at the end. And I think we all, the three of us there, Steve, Peter, and I, just went. I think that's probably the last time we'll see him. And it was. I think he died a month later. which was very sad because he was a really nice bloke, and he was great at analysing his work and contributing to chronicling the legacy of Doctor Who. So it's a bit of a sad one for me, this, in that sense, in that I do associate that commentary with it was hard. It was a tricky one, and it was quite an edgy experience, simply because as it went on and the more frustrated Barry got, it was sad to see. But Delgado is so good, isn't he? And you can go as close as you like. There's something great about a leather glove on a hand as well, isn't there? You can go as close up as you like on Roger Delgado. He has got such a fantastic face. Why is Galea such a cow? Just because she likes the Master's beard. Or is she the Master's beard? I didn't even know what a beard was until that time crash joke, you know. I never got that joke. Somebody had to explain it to me. I've led a very sheltered life.
No one can get me save Daniels himself. Certainly that's the try.
Isn't it? It's like a different story, isn't it? And I wonder why I don't like robes and catacombs. I suppose because it's a bit like, yeah, we're saying we're first time going back into the past since War Games and Abominable Snowmen or whatever, but it's not unlike Peladon, is it? I mean, it's robes and flaming torches, and so I suppose it's not that unfamiliar in that sense. So it's not really like a historical. I don't really think of this as an historical or even an historical portion, because I don't think of Atlantis as being in the Earth's past, because even though it's obviously derivative of certain Earth civilizations, it's not. It could be a berobed planet of which we are not unfamiliar. But it is, strictly speaking, I suppose. Yes, it's a journey to the past, but isn't. Is she going to eat the grape? It reminds me of the old acting story. She's having trouble with the grapes. Those of you that can't see, Ingrid Pitt is manipulating. I wonder if they're edible grapes. There's an old actor story about two actors talking to each other, and one says to the other, "Are you working?" "Oh, yeah." "Oh, you happy about it?" "Not really." "Well, yeah, no, actually, no, yeah, no, it's good." "Oh, why? Is it a good play?" No, it's a terrible play." "Oh, okay. Reputable theatre company?" "No, awful." Is it a good part?" "No, it's a really bad part." "Oh, the money's good?" "No." Nice location?" "No." Good cast?" "Not really." Then why are you happy that you've got the job?" "There's a practical sandwich in Act 2. I like that story. So, do you think Ingrid Pitt did it for the grapes? "I'll do it if you let me have some practical grapes." She didn't eat the grapes. Now, right, this is the Lord Crito. Damn, I talked through the Lord Crito being cross at a door. Is it that Crito doesn't like Hippias? I don't know who Lord Crito is and what he does. And if I shut up, I might discover it. But as I say, I've got a real blank spot for him, and I know what, I remember the private in episode 1 of the Web of Fear goes, "Oh, but Sarge, I'm on this other job." I remember parts that make no contribution to the episode whatsoever. I still don't know what he's all about, but we'll do that when we do Web of Fear. And isn't it nice that we can do Web of Fear? Well, I'd have done the recon. I've got a recon of it somewhere. Oh, and Joe's suddenly on film. This looks good, doesn't it? Oh, is this the end of a... Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I don't know. I think Rob was just being... And does Dalios get a single... I think it's Dalios and Galea get a single credit. That sort of thing appeals to me. Yeah, look at that. Single caption, love. Practical sandwich and a single caption. Ingrid Pitt was a bit of a star at this juncture, wasn't she? Crito, Derek Murcott, still don't know what he did. Angrietta Door. And Melville Jones, the guard, he's a Cyberman. He's the other speaking Cyberman in Revenge of the Cybermen. He's a playwright now. Well, that was... I thought that was all right. I feel bad that I was mean about the scene between Ingrid Pitt and Aidan Murphy. I'm sorry about that, Ingrid Pitt and Aidan Murphy fans. It's like we're programmed to sort of go... to look askance at stuff. I'm trying to program myself out of that. That's why I'm doing this. I love Doctor Who. Doctor Who takes me to my happy place. Or, you know. Right. So, what takes me to my happy place is a horrible Americanism that I wish had not tumbled out of my mouth. Gosh, I'm a miasma of regret, aren't I? Right. What did Alex like? Well, I liked King Dalios, and that's a bit of a broad thing. So I like King Dalios's sort of blasé, seen-it-all reaction to the Master. I thought that was refreshing. I thought that was an antidote to the credulous, savage kind of motif that is often used when, you know, a cupboard lands in ancient times. What did Alex like?
My best thing about episode 5 is the introduction of Jo as Lady Jojo Grant. Because, of course, those in Atlantis wouldn't know how funny it is, but it's an example, I think, of Doctor Who at its best, when you can have those moments of comedy, those throwaway lines, amongst what is often quite a dark story.
Yes, I was talking so much I missed that bit. That is a good bit. That is a funny bit. And again, yes, being serious about a joke, which they all are. So although it's a bit stuffy, that does work in the favour of things like that, because everybody plays that joke deadly seriously, nobody cocks a spook at it, and that makes it even more effective. And it is a very Doctor Who thing. Good choice, Alex. Everybody chooses better than I. Anyway, that was the Time Monster episode 5, which I thought was absolutely fine. And I'd been, between you and me, I'd been a bit worried about it. Thank you for joining me. Join me next time. This has been me, Toby Hadoke. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to Happy Times and Places with me, Toby Hadoke, and my guest, Alex Moore, who is on Twitter at AlexMoore99. Featured patrons this episode are Keith Say, Len Stewart, Nick Temple, Apollo C. Vermouth, Gary Wales, Adam Westwood, Rich Wiggins, Michael Williams, Stephen White, Mark Aldridge, Sebastian April, Tilt Areza, Simon Ash, Martin Bellum, James Blackett, Robin Bland, Kyle Bors, Hugh Buchtman, Anthony Carroll, and Anthony Carroll. Yes, there are two. The music has been specially composed by Dave Gates, and the podcast artwork is by Dylan Patterson. If you would like to support these broadcasts, you can do so at patreon.com/Toby Hadoke. There are exclusive and early releases there. If you would like to do just a one-off, that's fine, and equally gratefully received at kofi.com/Toby Hadoke. No bonuses there, alas, apart from my eternal thanks. Please also subscribe to my YouTube channel, and if you can spare the time, I'd be most grateful if you could rate and review these as highly as is humanly possible at all the usual podcast and distribution outlets. Thank you ever so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.